Welcome back to another episode of Elevator Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. We are back in the building. Hope y'all like that brand new intro. Um, Even saw
I saw that.
Roland had a cameo in there.
Yeah, I saw that, man. That was nice right there. Like
I forgot
that,
about that. That's
that was
what's
a
up.
little creative production. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Antoine had his people working on it behind the scenes. Welcome everybody to the show. It is what's today? November the 9th. We got Vic, we got me, we got Antoine, we got Roland down the street, we got Dwayne, Coach Dwyer, Georgia football's finest, and then we got Mr. Washington. I'm not trying to rub, I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way. Also in the background, we got Dr. Thomas Rashad Easy. I don't know, he having some problem with his camera or something like that. He hadn't popped up yet, but when he pop up, we'll bring him on the show as well. Um, Before we get started, I want to thank everybody who is here already, everybody who supports the show, and everyone who has taken a little bit of time out of their Wednesday afternoon to spend some time with us. Shout out to all the unks, the nephews, and other people who support the show and the channel. Special shout out to all the servicemen and women. We salute you and thank you for your service. While you are here, feel free to hit that chat. Feel free to hit the like button, join the chat, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you can be notified as soon as other videos drop. Hey man, how y'all doing today?
I'm
I'm
pretty
doing
good.
good.
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
You happy to be here, Antoine? I figured this be one of the topics of one of the shows you'd be kind of excited about.
I can't wait.
Why me? Wait a minute. Why me?
Hey, I think I still got my Kevlar in the garage. I need to run and get it real quick.
Yeah,
Coach, you're here to save me
You might need it.
me today.
Yeah, coach. Hey, coach gonna let you flap today. You are here on your own, brother.
Yeah, this is the whole point about being in the wolf pack. At any given point, somebody got to be capable of leading.
Hey, there you go.
You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
that's true. That's how it is. Hey,
we finna see.
We finna see. What we's talking about today is we're going to be talking about what men need from our woman. All right. I didn't say women. I said woman, as in one woman. Unless you have been living under a rock or anything like that, you can turn on any social media platform and you can find plenty of people discussing what women want in a man. If I were to ask most women, what would they say? Most of them would say 6 feet tall, six pack, six figures, and 6 inches, or some combination of the four. If you ask these same women what these same men want in women, most women will have no clue. On this elevated dialogue conversation, we want to talk about some of the things men want and or need from our women. Stereotypically, men are looked at as hard and as people who do not open up about things that bother them. I beg to differ on this. I think men do open up to the right woman when they think they have a safe place to open up. Do not get it twisted. Some things men just choose not to discuss, and that is okay too. One thing men need from our woman is a safe place to be vulnerable. This is just one of the things that men need. Watch the full episode to see what other things men need from our woman. So, we're going to start off the show with going around the horn. And we just want to start off with one thing that you need from your woman. And I'll start. And I would say that we need a safe place to be vulnerable. If we tell you something in confidence, we don't want it to be used against us later on down the road. If we do, and if that happens, a lot of times men will sometimes choose to shut down and choose to not share other things with you. So, men, I believe, at least for me, we need to have a safe place to be vulnerable if we choose to be vulnerable. Um, Whoever wants to chime in next, feel free to do so.
I think safe space is. I agree with that, but to add on to it is just infinite trust. You know, you got to have like established rapport, just trust. Period. And what that looks like varies from person to person.
for me, I feel like I agree with everything that's been said, but I think one of the most important things for me is appreciation. Appreciate what I do. I think a lot of men, like you said, in today's society, we see all the time what women feel like a man's supposed to do. But that's all well and good for you to want that, and that's great. But appreciate what a man does, because if I'm paying all the bills, if I'm taking care of the household like I'm supposed to, show me that you appreciate, and that's not always saying thank you. That's by action. Appreciation is an action word for me. Show me that you appreciate it by how you treat me.
I think I would say patience, because sometimes you may not see my vision. You may not see where I'm taking us. And I need patience in letting me do what I do to make it happen and just support my vision, because my vision should be our vision. And if I'm doing it my way, you got to have patience to see it through.
I know you asked for one thing, but I think mine is going to. It's going to be one thing, but it's going to be encompassing of a lot of different things. I think for me, I need balance. Um, and when it comes down to balance, I think a lot of times what we do is we have this fictitious notion in our mind that we want equality. And equality, I think we kind of set the bar in the direction in which we don't necessarily want to go when it comes down to equality, because then when it comes down to certain things, you will gladly relinquish that thing to me. Case in point, I don't necessarily need my woman out there cutting the grass. In fact, I can guarantee you that ain't no woman in my house going to cut the grass. If I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to hire somebody to cut it, whether she knows how to cut it or not. But the thing for me is balance, not necessarily equality, but balance.
Am I next? Oh,
You the only one who ain't winning, Antoine.
okay. So we're asking for one thing. If there's one thing a woman has to bring to my life right now, is the woman, meaning her as a whole, feminine woman that she is. That's it. I want her to bring her as a woman. Come in as a woman. That's it.
What do you mean by a woman? I know someone who's looking at this, they may have a little bit, they may need to know a little bit more. You know what I
Okay.
mean? What do you mean by what a woman?
In a nutshell, all the femininity, all the feminine stuff a woman brings to any relationship as a whole. Everything that makes her a woman, everything that is the opposite of what I am, that's what I need her to bring. And that is something that's generally speaking right now. That's what I would want.
You got
Is it?
Vic.
I would say healthy polarity. Like, I don't need you to be just like me. I need you to be different but complementary. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between being um, complementary and supplementary in a relationship, and that varies from time to time. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas you may just need someone that adds a little bit more oomph to what you got going on. Like Roland said, if he got his own vision, that patience is that supplementary energy. You know what I'm saying? That he needs, because he's not asking her to come in and fix it. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes she needs complementary energy, because he's described the way that he's her number one cheerleader. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's which feeds the whole concept of what Coach said about balance, is knowing when to do either. You know, when to lead or follow, when to kind of sit still. You got to have a different type of patience too. So I think knowing when to be complimentary versus supplementary, knowing when it's time for you to fix something, and just being available, because the best ability in a relationship is availability.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Welcome to the show, Dr. Easley. Appreciate you for being here, man. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hop on and share with us some expertise. So we didn't ask you yet, but here's your opportunity to say what's one thing that um you feel or think men need from their woman?
Peace.
Mm.
I think that those of us who work, I think I know everybody here works on this. You know, those of us who are entrepreneurs, I think that a lot of us, and I even say those of us who fight, you know, on the front line in many different ways, whether it's in war or, you know, battles, you know, to save your community, particularly if you're men, that means that you're right here fighting. And so, you know, you're putting a lot of energy to help other people as well as to help your family. When you come home or when you go out, you want peace because you're dealing because we don't battle and deal with a peaceful world. And so I think that having that, you know, so that then I can come home and bring my peace to your peace, and it helps us to make more serenity together, and then we can build together. So
Yeah, I mean, right now, I agree with everything that everyone has said. One thing I do want to dive into a little bit more is appreciation. Um, who who brought up appreciation? Yeah, Mr. Washington did. So, hey, man, go a little bit more into detail about what appreciation looks like to you. You know, maybe even giving examples or some experience behind maybe when you wasn't so appreciated and you wish you had some appreciation. Um,
Ooh, that's a long list. Uh,
we probably all got a story.
oh yeah, oh yeah. For y'all that don't know, I was previously married, so yeah, I've had my share of experiences of not being appreciated for the things that I did. But I'll say this before I go into that. One of the things that I also learned with that is being accountable for the part that I played in it. That was a conversation that me and my partner was just having. I think when I first got on, we talked about the things that we accept, the things that we allow, we accept. You know, we allow someone to not show appreciation without holding them accountable to not doing that, then we allow it. So we can't really. It's kind of hard to go back and say, hey, you know, I know I've been letting this go for years that you haven't been showing me appreciation, but it's a problem now. We got to hold ourselves accountable for that. But for me, appreciation, like I said, it doesn't have to be a thank you. It's not necessarily a thank you. It's just showing me that you appreciate what I'm doing. If I'm getting up going to work every day, which I work for myself, but I also have had jobs. If I'm getting up going to work every day, I shouldn't come home to a dirty house if I didn't leave it a dirty house. If I left and the house was clean and you come home while I'm going to work, if we work in opposite schedules like that, which was one of the issues that I had when I was married, I leave the house straight. I shouldn't come home to having to clean up again, or I shouldn't come home to a dirty kitchen and ain't nothing there for me to eat. Appreciation is simple in so many ways. Like that was one of the I ain't gonna say one of the biggest issues, but that was one of the issues that I ran into. I go to work all night, come home, kitchen dirty, but it ain't nothing there for me to eat. But y'all ate. You know, appreciation is as simple as saying, okay, you might leave a dirty kitchen, but there's something there for me to eat. You was thinking about me, and not in the manner of, well, he'll take care of it, but he needs something to eat when he get home. Appreciation can be shown in multiple ways. It can be affection. You know, I know he tired. Give me a back rub without me asking. You know, shoulder rub without me asking. It's simple things. It doesn't always. You know, a lot of people associate appreciation with the way society shows it. You got to buy gifts. It's not always a gift. For me, it's the simple things. Letting me know that you see that I'm providing. Letting me know that you appreciate what I'm doing. All of that stuff plays a part, but it's simple things for me. I'm not one of those big people that I got to have all this different stuff and I got to have gifts. You just let me know that you acknowledging the fact that I'm trying.
Yeah, I look at that as actions of affirmation, not just words of affirmation, but actions of affirmation, because it doesn't just stop when you're a child. Children need affirmation. They need to know that you're proud of them. It stimulates them, and it doesn't stop when you become an adult. Men need it, women need it, so we all need those things so that we can know whether or not we're on the right track sometimes, or we just need that encouragement, that just little push in the back to allow us to realize that we're doing right and you see it.
Welcome to the show, Chris. Man, what's going on?
Greetings, everyone. How are you?
What up,
Good,
Chris?
man. Hey, We just jumped into appreciation as being one of the things that men need from our woman. But since you just joined, I want to give you the opportunity to say what you think is one thing or a couple of things that you think men need from their woman.
Hmm. Well, I guess the affirmation piece is part of it because we rarely hear "I'm proud of you." We rarely hear "Thank you for doing this." So appreciation would be kind of the second thing, and mostly, I think as a whole, we as men want women to compliment and not compete. If that makes any sense.
No
Like we
unhealthy
don't.
competitions.
Right. I don't know a man roaming this planet that actually wants a woman that's competing with him for whatever she deems is control of the relationship. They all want a cohesive kind of relationship. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know a man on this planet that wants to fight with his reflection. So that would be, and based from off of what I hear in the research that I've done, that's been mainly the big thing. Like, don't compete with me because you don't need to, because we're supposed to be working for something bigger than us.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Like, I don't want to come on and compete with anybody either. You know what I mean? It's like we're on the same journey. We're on the same path. We have the same goal at the end. You know what I mean? Um, and there's no, we're not in competition with each other. Like, there's no need for it. So I definitely agree with that. Anybody else want to add to?
That kind of
No unhealthy competitions, man. Like, well, like if you are in a situation where you're competing, you got to ask yourself, what's the prize?
hmm,
Like if you win the unhealthy competition, what did you really win? So I think you got to sit down and analyze, if number one, if you are competing, um, like what's the source of it? What's the real reason? What's the insecurity that's probably, associated with that? And if you feel like you're in that type of a competition, you got to decide how far you really, what I'm saying, you're willing to go with it before it becomes annoying. Because it's not going to get better with more success if it's an unhealthy competition. Because what's the prize? More competition.
Could I jump in and say something? Well, see, for me, like everything that everyone says, see, that's why I said peace, because I think that when we're outside engaging in the world, right, it's like we have to watch our back, right? Head is on the swivel. You out there, you can't trust what everybody is saying, right? Okay, you have to negotiate with everything that you're doing. If you hustle hard, that means that you're probably going until you're exhausted or you're going until you're tired, right? If you're a fighter, you know what I'm saying. Then that means that your guard is always up and you're ready to attack. You see what I mean? If you're the protector, see, so you got all of that. So when you come home, I don't want to have to fight when I'm at home. And I'm going to protect us, but I don't want to have to protect myself at home. You see what I'm saying? With you, I'm hustling out there. So that means in here, I just kind of want to kick my feet up, or at least, of course, work, because the relationship is work. Time is work too. So I want the time to be peaceful. And then that way that gives me the rejuvenation, if you will, and the energy to get back out there and do what? Hustle hard, fight and protect, have my guard up. You see, and I think that in some ways one feeds the other. It's like what we need from our woman helps us do what we're called to do, or what we think that we should be doing in the world.
Dr. Easley, you are 100% right. But the reason why I, like I said the last time I was on here, I don't really deal in buzzwords. And nowadays, peace is a buzzword. So we have to clearly define what that peace is. You understand what I'm saying? It's all the same thing, but being that it's such a buzzword now, everybody has their own definition of it. So if we're going to talk in specifics, then we as men have to communicate specifically what that piece is. You understand what I'm saying? The breakdown was great. You know what I'm saying? You broke down what that piece was. And I think that's what's missing. You understand what I'm saying? We need to be very, very clear about what we mean when we say we want peace. You understand what I'm saying?
What,
I think peace is what's determined between the both of you, right? That's where it starts because you'd have to have that conversation with her, right? All this, I need peace, I need this, and I need that. How the hell did she make it past your table if you didn't have that already going in, right? You'd have to have that discussion up front, right? And I'm a one. I give a girl 3 chances, and that's it for me. I'm good, right? Because if she does it after 3 times, then it's a habit, and some habits you can't break. But if you're saying you need so much, and you didn't have that at the dinner table before you were getting to know her, all the dates, then obviously she ain't that person. So she ain't bringing peace. Because if you're in the relationship and you have all this going on, she knows your do's, your don'ts, your habits, where you are, what you're doing, and then you're saying when you come home she's not bringing peace. Well, obviously you didn't have that discussion with her before, right? Because why am I going to come home to my castle and know my queen is up in a roar of something that I don't even know about? Like, where'd that come from? That's what I'm saying. So I think you'd have that discussion way before. Because why would she be in your house?
I agree with you, Antoine, but I think that sometimes, and I can only speak because I'm a man, we aren't the best communicators. So when it comes to saying what we need, we will just let things slide, let it slide. Then next thing you know, we just blow up like they should have known. So I agree that we have to have those communication skills to navigate through everything, whether it's a hard conversation or a soft conversation. We got to be specific, like Chris said, and put it all out there so we know what rubs us the wrong way or what we need to just settle.
Exactly. Because you can't make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news, right? So if you know there's certain do's and don'ts that she's doing, that's on you if you let it go on. Now you're not being the man taking the lead because obviously she's stepping over you and doing what she wants to do. So you didn't do it in the beginning. Now I don't know why people have a hard time communicating. It's like, hey, I don't like it. You're not like young little boys growing up. You already know your habits. It's not like your first girlfriend, so you're already molded in a certain way as a man, and you're doing you and achieving your goals. You know where people fit in. If you can't come home and say, "Listen, what's up? Like, why are you doing what A, B, and C, and why are you with her?" You have to be able to tell her like it is. If you don't like what she's doing in the bedroom, then you got to tell her freak it out or something. You can't just keep it inside and hopefully she reads your mind. That's what girls do. They expect you to read their mind. I ain't reading nobody's mind. You got to tell me. And if you don't tell me, don't tell me about it later. You got to tell me there. I'm going to fix it there because we ain't going to have an A and B conversation later. No, I'm not doing that. That's like taking an old argument and throwing it in your face later. After it's been healed and you molded it and you passed it and you moved on, and then you're bringing it back up into a fresh argument. Man, I give you 3 chances on that one.
well,
But see,
one of the things that
what you did was that was a clear definition of what you view as peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my bottom line statement. Like, you're right. We do need to learn how to talk. Problem is, a lot of us weren't taught how to talk, and a lot of us weren't put in a position where our feelings actually matter. We just now got to the point where it was okay for us to actually say something. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understand what you're saying, Antoine, but it's a clear definition of what you view as peace. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we need. Because
so
it's like I said, it's different for everybody, but we need to convey what it is.
Yeah.
so
You know,
I've heard a couple people say something not necessarily negative, but that men, have an issue or that we're not maybe not be the best communicators. And I want to push back on that a little bit. And here's why. It goes back to, when I first started off the show and I talked about men having a safe place to talk, to be vulnerable. That also includes being able to communicate. You know what I mean? Like, we need to make sure that the women that we choose can offer that place to where we can have those uncomfortable conversations with them if we need to, or with whoever we work with or whatever, but in that relationship as well. And I think that the communication, the effective communication, needs to be like, that's something that you guys both have to learn together. You have to learn each other's ways, each other's body movement, each other's language, how y'all speak, certain cultural things that may go into play, and is why certain people may do certain things when they communicate. So I think that sometimes um, we just as men may not have the right place to where we feel comfortable being able to express ourselves in within the relationship. But I think that, we are a lot better at communicating sometimes than we think. I just think that sometimes, to kind of sum it all up, we may not be in the situation or feel comfortable discussing those things with our partner because maybe the trust may have been broken in the past or something like that.
What's going on, gentlemen? Can y'all hear
Hey,
me?
what's up, man?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with everyone. I was listening backstage, and I also caught it on Vic's Facebook page, a couple comments. Um, I guess we really got to understand what's our peace. What's really the peace, though? You know what I mean? Like, is it not somebody just not talking to me for an hour or two, leaving me alone, let me do what I do, and not saying anything? Because sometimes just by saying anything can just like send a man into a rage. Like, damn, why are you talking to me? Like, I don't care about Sheila at your job today. What she did, she was late. But you have to entertain that just so you can show interest in what she had going on, because you want somebody to listen to you at the same time when you speaking about the stuff that you care about. And as far as with the women, I just think, man, they interpret it the way they. You could say it how you want to say it, but they interpret it the way they want to hear it, and that's what we get misconstrued at, and that's what things go wrong at. If I tell you I wanted the dish this way, don't say, "Oh, he wanted them clean, but he wanted them that way." Don't take what I said and do your thing to it, and then now we got a problem because I wanted it this way because I had something in mind for that at the time. Now it's like, why did you do that? You know what I mean? So being a piece, it's like whatever you're doing on that side, it should complement what I'm doing, and whatever what I'm doing should complement what you're doing. And when we sit down, it should have a scheme of things. We all come together, not you with the horse with the blinders on. Just got what you got in mind. Focus on what you got going on. We need to focus on everything because, man, we think about the kids, we think about the house, we think about the cars. If our car breaks down, we thinking about all of that, and they only think about what they got going on. So that's our piece. If they start showing initiative and not waiting to the last minute to address the issue before it get out of hand. And that's the same with us, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir, it all does. You just want balance on implied understandings, like how something's gonna go. You already know you're gonna work to a solution. So let's skip the fanfare and just have a healthy discussion about how not to get back to that spot again. You know, so knowing that you can get in a situation and work your way out of it, with the right mindset, you got to have peace in order to do that too. And whatever that version of it looks like, that's on the individual. So Antoine, in terms of just defining the space and whatever it is it looks like for him, and that way people are not focused on the particulars in the details, caught up in a discussion about it, instead of just saying, hey, this is that person's boundary. Respect the boundary. You want your boundaries respected. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you got to be able to communicate that. And that's really what it is. Peace is boundaries. Understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we use the wrong words sometimes. I think we try to
Yeah,
use
definitely. I
one
agree.
word to just capture everything, which goes back to what Chris was talking about, buzzwords. You know what I'm saying? We start talking about boundaries, within a relationship, that hits different notes than just saying peace, because that changes from day to day.
And that's a question. I like that's great. I actually had
Yes,
something
sir.
that
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to say. That was that, but I just want to ask the question here, just to all the brothers. Are we actually answering the question, or are we responding to what I said when I said peace? And the reason why I'm asking that is because that wasn't the question. The question is what we want, not necessarily what I said. So I hear everything that everyone has said. Well, I'm gonna ask you to do something. Start over. And I think actually answer the question that was asked. Now, with that, let me say this, the doc had to remind you all of that. So then the next thing that I want to say is I actually believe that a lot of what I'm hearing is some of what we would like them to do is to mirror in their own way what we're doing. Because what I'm hearing is if I'm putting forth the effort, I see my comment just actually came up. But like, if I'm putting forth the effort, I like to see, acknowledgments of my efforts, mirroring my support given by serving in a way, making togetherness better than being alone. And so I think that that's what a lot of us want, is that when we're with our woman, whether it's wife, girlfriend, whoever, that time is better than being by myself, hopefully. Because when I'm by myself, everything's on me, right? I'm paying for this. I'm taking care of this. I don't have to answer to anyone. Once it becomes a us, okay, I definitely want what I'm doing not to slow down. And I also don't want what I'm doing to become harder. I want what I'm doing, if we can, and I think Chris said it, compliment, not in competition. I wanted to compliment, like what it is, like that I'm actually doing. But I do think that for those, and I'll admit this, as I'm continuing to mature and grow myself, the reason why I said us and mirror us is because I think that that's why our inner peace comes in. Because then when we see them doing something that we see ourselves doing, it's like, not I'm training you or yeah, I got you, but more like, wow, thank you. And then I think that goes to what Antoine was saying about not reading the minds. You see what I'm saying? But you're mirroring something, but it's something that I'm doing too. You see, so I just think to all the listeners, I want to say, at least for me, I think I want her to not do what I'm doing, but I do want to look at her and see me. And that's where my peace comes in, because I see you putting it in like I'm putting it in. All right, we can keep going.
And I like what you said there, Doc. And I'm gonna just caveat to what you were saying about the training, because I think it is a training. I people don't like those little words. Oh, he not training me, she not training me. But we have to learn one another so that we can work cohesively together. And when we buck up against just because a word is said or whatever, or mannerisms are different. Like, I'm a morning person. I get up, I don't have to reach high for cloud nine. I'm already there. But my wife, she may not be there. I don't bother her and try to pick and poke and prod her. I sit up there, I go for my walk, I drink my coffee, and then when she come down and she's ready, then we can move forward. But we have to learn one another so that we can communicate, and not how I think she should be, how I think she should act or respond, but how she is.
Another thing I want to push back on is why are we saying that in today's time, with so many forms of resources, men aren't good communicators? I think men are great communicators. Why? You can be a great communicator, but what good is communicating if you don't listen, right? So you can communicate all you want, but if she's not listening, that means you're a bad communicator, or she's not listening.
Men are they good communicators or good talkers?
Yeah, men are good communicators today. We are very expressive of what we want. It may not be what they want to hear,
but that's not necessarily communication. Communication is both ways.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. But to say men aren't good communicators, I'm going to say no. She may not be a good listener, because you can communicate all you want, but if she's not listening, communication's out the window.
So this is why
I believe it's just the delivery that we give, man. Sometimes we bark orders.
I don't believe in barking. I don't think you should talk to anybody at a tone that they don't register with. Right? You have to have that level of respect in that conversation. Right? Why would you? I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. You just explained to her your wants and needs and how things you'd like it to be. And you'd listen to what she wants and her needs and what she'd like it to be. And you find that common ground. But she has to be responsive to that, and you have to be responsive to what she's saying. But at the same time, I wouldn't say men aren't good communicators. This is modern time, man. I think we've overcome that by now, right?
See, this is why I brought the concept of balance to the conversation because I'm hearing everything, and I'm going back to what the good doctor said because he's absolutely correct, right? I like hearing what everybody said about peace. I like hearing what everybody's saying about communication, but let's be completely honest with ourselves first. What we're talking about is an art. Regardless of what facet of existence you want to talk about, communication is an art. It's something that you have to practice. You need to understand what communication is all about, practice it, and get to the point that you get better at it. No one on this panel is a great communicator. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't care how good you think you are. You're not as good as you think you are. You're not as bad as you think you are either, but you're not as good as you think you are. Here's the other side. She may not be a good listener, or she might be a great listener. The challenge is not to judge what she is doing. The challenge is to look in the mirror and understand what I am doing. Once I understand whether or not my communication efforts hit all the marks. And here's the other part. If I can see that my communication effort is consistent, so I listen more than I talk. When I do talk, I have something to say. I'm delivering messages. I'm giving positive affirmation, all this stuff. Because somebody mentioned love languages, and I have my own take on that. That has to be balanced as well. My love language is not for me to share it with you so that you can get better at it. No, when I understand what my love language is, my goal is to get better at the other ones, not so that we can stick with the one that I know what I'm good at. It's all about getting better, being a better version of yourself. So when we start talking about this relationship thing, it's all about balance. Finding that balance, going back to what Vic said, Vic brought boundaries into it. Boundaries is a facet of this peace thing because if I don't have boundaries, now I'm going to have turmoil. If everything goes, then it's going to be an issue. So I need to establish boundaries. I need to communicate my boundaries, and I need to know that you understand my boundaries. Now that I know that you understand my boundaries, I understand your boundaries. Once we cross that boundaries, now we can have the conversation to let the other person know, hey, you violated my boundaries. That's no good. That's not good. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a conversation about that so we can get to the point that we do not violate each other's boundaries moving forward. So when we look at it, balance is the key, regardless of what we're talking about, because it requires each one of us to articulate how we're feeling at any given point in time. This is why I go and here you go, Mr. Washington. A book for you that you mentioned is called Principles by Ray Dalio, right? In Ray Dalio's book, one of the things he talks about being radically transparent and radically open-minded, right? When you are radically transparent, you're speaking an authentic language that is specific to you, not necessarily repeating what somebody said in the street. You're speaking an authentic language for yourself. How you feel about this? When you do this thing, I feel this way. Now it's not about the thing, it's about the person. I feel this way. Now that you understand how I feel, if I am who you say I am, it's necessary to make the adjustment or not. And if you choose not, I understand something that I did not understand before. On the other hand, I need to be radically open minded. What does that mean? That means when you articulate things to me about how you're feeling, I need to hear it, not combat it, right? Regardless of whatever it is you bring to the table, hear it, digest it, sit on it. I don't necessarily have to respond to it. Just acknowledge I heard it and then just sit on it and say, how can I, do this better? And again, all of this is within reason. And again, I'm going back to my point in the beginning, not saying that anybody's point was wrong, but that's why I brought balance to the equation, because anything outside of that, it becomes a tug of war. My point is more important than your point. Your point is more important than my point. What I do is more important than what you do. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that we move in harmony. And the only way we're going to get to the point of moving in harmony if we can find balance within the situation.
And that was, that was spot on, man. Um, all of this stuff, Coach. One of the things that I liked that I pulled out of there before I had a brain fart, um, and just lost my train of thought. I was so intentional, and I was listening. I didn't want to miss it. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't, man. But there was a bunch of great points in there, man. Anybody want to add to that?
I,
No,
I,
I
I
know,
wanted
right?
no.
I wanted to say
I know,
something
right?
about something that was said earlier, and it's kind of
Man,
on
we
the
good.
hang on. It's Coach basically just put everything in perspective, but I did want to add something earlier about one of the things we're talking about being having peace and um, patience and all that. One of the things that we also have to learn about ourselves is we got to know who we are. You got a lot of people that's getting in relationships that don't even know who they are. So being a good communicator, number one, you got to know yourself. You got to. Vic always say you can only have the relationship you can afford. That speaks on levels if you really read it, because what you can afford ain't got nothing to do with money, but it's also what can you stand mentally. You know, everybody ain't meant to be in a relationship, because if you don't know how to communicate, I honestly, one of the things that I've taken and I said this the last time I was on the show, I've been haven't been in a relationship in several years, but it's not because I haven't wanted to. It's because I'm working on myself, and it's because I figured out that I didn't know who I was. So I said I need to take a break from being in a relationship, because until I know who I am and I can be in tune with myself. You know, Cat Williams said that on one of his shows, be in tune with your star player. I'm trying to get in tune with my star player, which for me, that's knowing who I am and being able to communicate that clearly. That's one of the biggest things that I feel like out of everything that everybody said, we got to know who we are, know who you are individually, so you can communicate that, because a lot of people don't.
But John Chu, see, he said something key, knowing yourself, right? And I agree with that 100%. But a woman can't bring peace in my life. I'm already at peace. I'm in a good place, right? All that healing bullshit that people talk, I'm healed. I don't need any of that, right? So if I'm in a good place, and I know mentally I'm in a good place, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, I don't need no healing, and I don't need you to come in and bring peace, because that's why I'm already at peace. So I'm going to recognize when my peace is disrupted, and it's got to be for a valid reason. But if she's coming in already not healed and not put together, obviously I'm going to recognize the signs of that. So I'm not going to open the door to it. I'm going to say, you staying over there, right? Because you ain't fixed. And when you fix, then after, you know what, come knock on my door. But I'm already healed. I don't need you to bring peace in my life.
But I mean, nobody
The only thing you can do is disrupt my peace because you're coming in with your ass, right?
well, but nobody is saying that you have to bring peace. You have to be peace. In other words, if you are already at peace, then I don't want you disturbing mine. That's peace.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I already have peace.
A woman brings peace, and I'm like, what peace is she bringing? I'm
Yeah,
already
but that's one of the reasons why it's good to elaborate on what you say, because
exactly.
it's not saying, I'm not saying that I won't, you're gonna have to bring me peace. I'm that's like saying that I'm in a chaotic world and I need you to help calm it down. No,
there you go.
If I have peace, you can't disturb my peace.
You can't disturb my peace.
But at the same token, everybody's not gonna see them signs. We've all every last one of us, if everybody on this panel is married and happily married and been married for 20, 30 or 40 years, then that means that we've been through not seeing those signs of not being healed. But that also goes back to what I said about you not knowing who you are. A lot of times we go through bad relationships because we don't know who we are. So we accept things that we really don't want, and then it ends up failing. But that's where you learn. That's why communication is not necessarily something that everybody's good at, simply because the fact that if you don't know who you are, how do you communicate to somebody else who you are? If I don't know who I am, how do I communicate to somebody else who I am? That's why I said I was trying to catch it before we got as far. Coach came in and he kind of delivered the message for the church this evening, but that was what I was trying to say earlier. That was what I was trying to interject earlier. Know who you are. If you know who you are, then you can communicate better. But that's, like I said, at the same point, everybody don't know who they are. That's why we have so many failed relationships.
When people say don't know who you are, let's go into that, because I'm always confused when people say know who you are. When you say know who you are, give me some specifics. Like what?
Knowing exactly who you are, knowing your purpose, knowing what you want to do, knowing what you want out of life. We can sit up here and say, yeah, I just put it, I added to my cart too. I added to my cart. But we, a lot of times, how old are you when you know what you're here for? How old are you when you decide, okay, this is my purpose?
Well, I knew that early for me. For me, I knew that real early. I was fortunate enough to find what I know I was gifted with early. So
that part right there, Antoine, that part right there, you said it right there. You were fortunate enough to find out who you were at an early age. Yeah. Most of us I was in my late 30s, early 40s before I figured it out. For whatever reason. And I was in the military. I was around people like Coach and Vic and whoever was in the military. I was around military guys, senior leaders all the time. I never found out who I was until I decided, like Roland, until I decided that I was going to take an effort to really figure out what this thing called life was all about. And once I figured it out, freaking game changer, man. Game changer.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, yes, sir. I can admit this. I think I'm still figuring some things out. As I continue, like to mature. Now I'll admit, I think that like I worked a couple of years up in Montana. I was up there by myself, didn't have family come, didn't have visitors, and this is in my early 20s. I feel like that time alone, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my fears. I learned what I needed to be assertive about because I was the only black guy in the county. And I, I had to I had to speak up for myself a lot of times, but I also had to know when not to fight because truck of 5 white guys drive by and yells an N-word. And it's like, am I going to take one of them? I don't know what I'm going to do, So I really matured, but I can also admit in relationships, I also learn other things about me. So I got to be honest, even though I agree with all of the kings, I think that sometimes in some of the relationships, that's where some of the other things we learn about ourselves actually come out. Like some of the frustrations that say, we have I got to be honest. I don't frustrate myself. I don't get tired of my own presence. I'll admit I don't get tired of talking to myself. And it's not because I think I'm so great, it's because I know I am. I do not argue with myself. But it's when I'm talking to somebody else and I'm like, I don't want to talk about politics. It's when I'm engaging with someone else. I'm like, I don't want to eat that late. It's when I'm engaging with someone, So I just so I do think that what everyone's saying is I mean, I'm with you, but I also think that for me, I feel like I'm still learning. I know I'm still learning some things, So I'm with you, Mr. Washington. I do feel like I know my purpose, But do I know everything that makes Thomas tick? And I think I'm still learning that, like some of that. Do I know everything that motivates me? I mean, I can tell you right now, but hey, you may call me tomorrow and say something to me, and I'm like, man, hey, that actually moves me, But I do think that my essence and my purpose, yeah, I do know.
I think we're constantly evolving.
Right.
Exactly.
Even though you find out your purpose and know what you're supposed to do in life and find out who you are, I think it's a daily, weekly, goal by goal, month by month progress. You continue to evolve, to continue to get better.
See, I'm 49 years old, and I think the past 2 years I'm really finding out what I like because I spent the previous 20 some odd years in the church hierarchy, and I was pacifying and satisfying other people. Got to do this, got to walk like this, got to say this, got to, can't do this, can't do that. And I found it to be like a yoke of bondage around my neck that held me back from being me. I was this dude. I'm the preacher. I'm the this. I'm the that. And I had to not say things or not even think certain ways, even though I thought those ways. And when I got from underneath that, I realized, man, it's a rolling under here that feels refreshed and renewed and not under that same yoke. So now I can do some things that I want to do or walk like I actually want to walk.
You ain't realize you ain't like it till you had to deal with it. That's a lot of us.
Go ahead, Chris. Talk to me, Goose.
I'm listening. I'm listening. It's refreshing to hear men besides myself talk about still learning who they are, even though they're deep in life. So I'm just listening. This is great for me.
But that's the definition of life's a journey, man. It's always going to be evolving. It's like, when people say, "Oh, I like my job. I'm going to stay at this level," and blah 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 blah. I'm like, you can't control the economy. You got to make more money if it goes up. It's just the way it is. Life's a journey. You're always going to be learning something about yourself. You're always going to rediscover something. The point is to get the principles down, the stuff that really matters, like your purpose, as in what do you want to do in life for yourself? What do you want to do in life to make money? And where do you see yourself? And what kind of lifestyle you want, right? Things cost money. I mean, it's great that you're figuring it out, but I hope you don't go broke trying to do it. You know, you gotta, I mean, you know, it's great until you don't want to be a woman, you don't want to be with a woman until you got life figured out. Well, shit, I hope you get laid in between there. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a journey. So, you know, you can cut yourself off from every woman, but I don't know about you, but I got some needs over here, right? As I'm learning about myself. And it's very important you realize you're always going to be evolving. If you're going to be stuck, if you're saying you're happy making $60,000, good luck in 10 years. I'm going to take my hat off to you for that one if you can survive. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, really? Yeah, I'm good at my job. I'm good. I'll wait to get, you know, I'll retire. Good luck. That's all I could say, because things change.
Well,
You know,
I do believe women play a critical role in us when we say we trying to find ourselves, because it lets us know what we were looking for and what we're willing to tolerate. Because I've been married 17 years, and it's been some things that I wasn't uh, cool with, but I learned to tolerate them because I think love surpassed certain issues that I did have, and most of those issues come from being in the military. We did things a certain way. We had order, and sometimes we have to. It was a while for me to differentiate my wife from the military because I was a leader. So I gave out orders. So when I said things, I had to realize that I was saying them to my wife and not my soldiers, if that makes sense. So my wife did help me find another half of myself when it comes to communicate with people. And a good book to do pick up if you're in the market for a book is How to Communicate with Anyone. I believe it's by forget the name of the guy, but Mark Rhodes, How to Communicate with Anyone. If you guys ever want to read a book, it just gives you something to look at. It gives you something how to really tolerate. People hear different. They hear different. You could say the same thing to somebody else, but they hear it totally different. You could say it to your mom, and she may understand because she dealt with somebody else before. But when you say it to your wife, it may come out different because she's hearing it different. And that got a lot to do with the social media. It's a lot of influences out there that wasn't out back then when women were actually a man's piece.
I'm happy I grew up without social media. God damn.
Man, yeah, social media does play a role in how people digest information. You know, it's kind of like you can't talk about how effective it is in one way without the cons of it in another. You know, so it's
Yeah.
so I think that definitely challenges the way you communicate. You know what you can discuss, and there's a difference between some topics that'll be better said in person, and some conversations that are better said via email. Believe it or not, if you took time to sit down and write and complete your thoughts, you can avoid like unnecessary interruptions that derail you from your larger point. If the whole goal is to just be heard and get all of your thoughts out, you know, so everybody can be understood, because that's the goal. You don't want to have competing understandings. You know what I'm saying? So again, competing understandings is just another unhealthy competition yet again. So we got too many devices and too many means to communicate for us to at least be unheard. And I think you got to use all tools at your disposal. So um, I do believe men are great communicators. I think that we have trouble articulating, you know, sometimes, and that's the difference. Just because you can communicate doesn't mean everybody's going to understand you. That's where articulation comes into play. So you have to figure out what language does the other person speak and learn at least some transitive words, and you know, to avoid triggers, because we all have them.
See, and that's why people need to have the tough, be not afraid to ask the tough questions, rather it be someone in your life or a friend or anything or a significant other. You have to be willing to ask the tough questions, right? I don't know why people find that so. I don't care if I offend you. If you're within my circle, you know how I speak and how I talk as a man. And if I offend you with what I say, then you shouldn't be in front of me. I know who's around me. I know I'm as good as the company I keep, and I keep damn good company that I don't have to say thank you because they already know Antoine says thank you. You know, just because you hand me a fry and I take a fry from you, it's not like, oh, thanks for giving me. No, they already know, right? You have to be willing to. It's okay to not be liked. You're not everybody's gonna like you, and people are so scared to not be liked. I don't want to be liked. I got enough friends. I'm good. The less friends I have, the less money I have to lend. That's how I look at it.
But
Right?
doesn't that?
I'm simple that way. I don't complicate things. So if I don't complicate things and I have a good wolf pack and I got good people around me that I associate with, I'm bringing you into that world, right? And you're going to know fully about that world. And I think people need to just talk.
See, but I think
stop being scared to offend.
Antoine, with what you're saying, I would take it like if you were saying that, say, if you feel that way about how you say, well, you should just know I mean thank you because of whatever. But I may have something that you dislike. But what you're saying is that's me. Get over it. I'm the way I am, and there's no room for change.
No, what I'm saying is you would know how I am before even if we communicate.
Right.
And so you would know that if I don't get Antoine this way, I'm not going to be his friend because he doesn't want me in that circle. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't care if you're within my circle, you already know how I communicate. So there's no, no, this is how Antoine is. And if I don't like him, I'm going to avoid him, which is a plus for me because then I don't have to delve in. I don't need you like that.
I think that stunts growth.
For you, but for me,
it stunts growth for the both.
For me, it stays. No, for me,
if you stay the same, you're not grown.
No, well, here's the thing. One time Antoine brought up before, and like a 50-50 relationship scope works for him. That might be the details that are confined in a 50-50 relationship. Like Roland, you're more of a traditional marriage guy, right? So like what you think stunts growth is different from what he thinks stunts growth. So like Antoine living in a 50-50 world, you know what I'm saying? Whatever he's saying fits exactly the way he sees the world.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is when we talk.
This is why I said that.
Because if we're talking communication,
this is.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's a delay or something. If we're talking communication, and you say, well, pretty much you saying this is the way I am, accept me or get out my face. I think whether you're trying to build a relationship or not, if you are around people like that, you never know how you can grow from learning from somebody else or being around other people, but you're shutting things off.
No, I'm shutting things off from you.
Right.
I'm not shutting things off. I'm shutting things off from that person. I don't need that person. That's what I'm trying to say.
But you don't know.
You cannot teach me something that I am not willing to learn. And if you're in front of me, and you know this is how I communicate, and you're trying to get me to understand the way you want me to understand how you communicate, you wouldn't be in front of me.
Right. And I'm a dictionary person. That's bad. Logically, that is insane.
Why is it insane?
Because what you're saying is you saying you gonna continue to grow, but everything that may help you grow is like
I'm saying everything that you don't understand that would make me grow is
but
good.
You don't know everything that will help you grow.
But if you can't understand the way I communicate, then I shouldn't be in front of you. Because if you're getting offended the way I communicate, you would not be in my circle.
But that's how people
in my circle knows.
Nobody automatically knows that. They got to.
That's what I'm trying to say. So within my circle, you would be very clear on how I communicate. So you would know there's no such thing as either you like me or hate me. If you have to think about it, it's okay. Think over there. Don't think in front of me. It's okay. It's good. We're good.
But you would have to learn that, right?
What?
One would have to. They're not automatically in your circle. They would be outside the circle, so they would have to spend time and learn.
Right. And then they would say, "Oh, that guy's not for me. I'm cool." And I would say, "Yeah, we're not meshing. Stay away from me." We wouldn't have coffee. We wouldn't break bread over the dinner table. Now, if you come with me with a business deal, then we'll hash it out with contracts and shit. And I'd still take your offer, but it wouldn't be like I'm going to break bread with you over a dinner table. Because like I said, I don't need everybody to like me. I don't want everybody to like me.
So what you need from women is for them to just accept the way you communicate. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is if I'm at peace and she's coming into my life, I'm going to communicate with her how I am as a man. She is going to know. Now, She has to make her decision if that's the type of life or person she wants to be with. I'm not here to convince her how I am as a man to make her like me. No, this is what I am. My piece is around this. And this is what I do. You will never help me in my studio, ever. You wouldn't even step foot in my studio. You probably leave the coffee at the door because that red light means don't bother me. And if she can't understand and knocking on the door when the red light's going off, I'm just opening up and going, bitch, what the fuck? What does that light look like?
Whoa.
Hey, Mary.
I'm like, what does that light represent to you? When I say it's a red
Whoa.
light and I say, don't disturb me, and it's red, and you're still knocking on the door, then you know you're disturbing my peace, right? You know you're disturbing my peace because the light's red. It's clear. Just like when you work in a studio, when the red light's on, everybody shuts up. You're not going to go and open the door and close the door. The red light's on. So you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to find a better way to communicate with him. I know that he doesn't like when the red light's on and I'm knocking on the door. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient. And he said to me, if it's 911, text him. You'll see it. Right? How hard is that?
I think I like the chivalrous approach. And I think there's a courtship when it comes to the engagement of a couple. And I think the learning phase is not well, you either accept me or don't. I think it's a growth process. And I'm just a little different in that aspect.
But Roland, the courtship stuff I'm talking about after the courtship stuff is all over with and the lovey-dovey and the love making and the sex is good. I'm talking about after all of that. Right?
Okay.
I'm talking about after all of that. You love the life I live. We are messy. We are in a 50-50 relationship. Why are you knocking on the door when we already know the light is red?
Gotcha.
Now you're disturbing my peace.
Hey, look, here's the reality of it. What applies in your household ain't gonna apply in everybody else's. So you can't make nobody see your perspective just because that's your perspective.
But again,
I get what you're saying, Anton. But the thing about it is that's your perspective in your household, how you run your household.
Exactly. So she's in my household.
Roland's not gonna go. He's not going to agree with the same thing because that's not his method.
Right. Exactly.
We getting off of the subject by speaking for we can only speak for ourselves. That's one of the reasons why I started saying nobody can speak for everybody.
Bingo. That's why when Vic said 50-50, that's the life I lead because I don't need you in my business life. I don't even want you in my creative life because I don't need your approval for anything. I've been doing it all these years by myself. What are you going to do? Come and say that's a nice painting? I'm going to go, yeah, and you finish? I don't, no.
Hey, man, you cold-blooded.
Let me mute my mic.
Why? The only thing I care about is the guy paying for it. I don't need her to say it's a nice painting. It was nice before you came along. I mean, like, what do you think you're gonna do? Stimulate me by telling me that?
Well, me myself personally, man, I value my wife's opinion.
For what? In my professional life, if I know this painting is the shit and I'm getting paid for it, I don't care what she has to say. It's not for her to say because I know what that client wants. She can come and say it's a nice painting and I'll probably acknowledge her and say thanks, but it's not anything I need. Just like it wouldn't be anything in that art room that she would need to step foot in. Like there was nothing there for you. There's no pencil. There's no, you know what I mean? So my piece is right there, and she knows I'm not going in there. There's no reason for me to be in there unless he calls me.
Anton, but are you married though?
No.
Okay, so you can't speak for somebody that's married. You can't tell somebody
else
that
they should right now. I'm not.
But what he said was he values his wife's opinion. You asked why. You can't speak for nobody else. That's his household. You trying to direct your.
When I said why, I was speaking for myself. When I said why, I was speaking for myself. Like why? Like for me. Like. Why?
But we got off tangent by talking about all that. Let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about tonight.
Here we go. I like that. Way to bring it back home. So let's dive into respect. Respect is one of the things. Actually, maybe not talk about respect. Maybe not talk about.
Hey, we way past that.
Way past that. Yeah.
Hey.
So.
This fool done made me take my glasses off.
Man, somebody said put the glasses back on.
I need that one.
Here's what I like to do. I like for somebody to jump out on one of these. I wrote down a couple other things back in the show notes. As far as things that men need. I wrote down praise, respect, space, affection, reassurance, quiet, peace, interest in his life, acceptance of who he is, honesty, encouragement, effective communication, validation, and I guess I wrote feeling valued. Um, Anybody see
Ooh.
anything in there that kind of stands out to them that they want to chump on? Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask you a question, Uncle Junior, because did you say that that's what men need, or is that what we need from our women?
What we
I just wanted to
need,
clarify.
what we need specifically from our woman.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be those. Those were just some that I've thought about. I've heard talking points, internet, just different things like that. And I came up with that little small list. So it's
I
in the
got
private chat. If anything in there you guys wanna jump on.
I don't see. I see everything that's in there, um, that you just named off, and I got my own. We've talked about it before. Participation matters to me because you can get all of those different things out of participation. When you're working together, you share a language on something. You know what I'm saying? Like you reassure each other. It's a team building concept, right? So that means you're supposed to be able to protect each other's weaknesses. That's why I call it healthy polarity. It's okay that I'm stronger in an area and not strong in this area, but I have a teammate that augments my vulnerabilities. You know what I'm saying? And if you're in a traditional relationship, in a traditional marriage, and it's a push pull, it's a work together. In some situations, you got to have some flexibility. Um, and that just really gets defined off of what do you both want together and what are you willing to do, which is goes back to you got to be operating on something greater than yourself. You got to be operating on something greater than both of you guys together, and you got to figure out how to align your energy and your mutual connection with each other to use that as momentum. Um, Otherwise you're just doing some stuff. You're not even
Yeah,
doing anything for each other. You're just doing some stuff individually and together at the same time.
I agree with that. That's 100% agree with that. But let me make it clear just one thing. Now, these are things I tell you I would communicate to my wife or my significant other or future wife fully. This is a conversation we will have. It's not something I'm going to be scared to hurt her feelings with, or no, this is it. This is what you're coming into, right? It's the same way I tell you that I'm not moving in with you. You're moving in with me. You will never be on the lease because I know if something works out, I ain't leaving my house, right? It's very clear and understanding. Like you won't have control over me at all. This is how it's going to work. If you're coming into that circle, that square, don't second guess it after you sign the paperwork. That's all I'm saying. These are things we would communicate with. We'd have that discussion because I don't mind having and asking you the tough questions. Just like if she doesn't perform in the bedroom, I have no problem telling her, listen, you ain't doing it, man. You got to watch some porno or something. Get something going here. Like learn something. I wouldn't even marry a virgin because she better know how to do it that night. I'm not teaching nobody.
So
Right?
Antoine,
This up front in the beginning.
Huh?
You this up front in the beginning.
I would do all this up front in the beginning. I would not. I am set. I'm good.
How many times you go home alone, man?
Why?
Woman, if
Why?
you come at a woman like that in the beginning, that's like red flags for real. Like,
No. If you'd court her, you do all that stuff. When it starts to get serious, you're gonna let her know slowly. This is how life is for me. She's gonna see my lifestyle. She's gonna see what I do. She's gonna know how I move. And if she wants to take it to the next, it's not like I'm not going to just throw this on her. No, she's going to be with me. She's going to see how I move. She's going to see me as a man with my clothes down. She's going to see me with how I think, how I concentrate. She's going to be around my environment. She won't be in the art room, but she'll be around the other stuff. And then after that, she can make her decisions. And then she
so
can
Antoine, so
that's
Antoine,
it.
to sum it up with a solution-based resource for the viewer, what based off of all of that, what would the viewer pull out of that and say, this is what I need from my woman based off of everything that you said?
I would say they would see that, you know what, communication is very, very important, that you lay down how you are as a man, and that you're fully 100% not working on yourself. You're looking to get better and improve, but you're not working on yourself and figuring yourself out. You already know yourself as a person. There's nothing I'm figuring out me as a man. I'm only evolving, learning new things, while realizing new things, willing to make changes. Okay, cool. But as far as I need to heal and I need to do all this, and I ain't doing that bullshit. I'm done. I'm so freaking done. I'm like, no.
Now, can she put the same stipulations on you?
Absolutely.
So
because I am not taking no broken woman.
No. Would you say you would receive it if she say, "Dude, you need to get you some yohimbe root or something to in the bedroom? You ain't working. You need to go watch some pornos and all that."
But she would know that before in the first. I know that after the first or second time.
So, but you would know.
So would she. If I'm not stroking it for her and she don't tell me, that's on her. Don't marry me. What the hell? Don't try to come in and say, well, I was hoping that would change. That's the size of it. What do you want me to tell you? It ain't going any bigger. Like, that's it.
Say that's all you got. I got you.
Speaking Roland. Roland poked the bear.
I'm not taking Viagra. This is it.
Roland poked the bear tonight.
Holy shit.
Right. Hey, to all the viewers out there, you got different perspectives. Now, and I want to say this. You're looking at Antoine. This is if all you can afford is that's what you're gonna get. Goddamn, you can't.
I know a dime.
You know what I'm saying? You can only have the relationship that you can afford. You hear me?
Thank you.
So everybody out there that's listening, if you come in the Amazon box and you need some air, that you the perfect person for Antoine, because whatever woman he talking to coming in, she come with an invoice. She come in Amazon Prime. Okay,
just know like
coming out of a box and you got to blow up.
Vic, it's like this. Okay, listen.
An invoice and a package slip. Is that what we doing?
When a woman says, I want a man making 100K, I say just make sure you look the part that type of woman that steps out of a car of a man that makes 100K. Don't expect 100K and you don't look the part. That's all I'm saying, because it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Hey, Roland.
That's all.
Every time you poke the bell, this is all I hear.
This is the song that doesn't end. Yes,
Is this what we are doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Hey, bro, Antoine woman gonna come with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Antoine woman coming with an app, fam. Like it ain't no human being moving the way he talking. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be in a human trafficking situation. Anybody listening to that, boy?
Just to hear this stuff is like Jesus Christmas, man. I feel like I need
to just get you a drone or something. Just get you a drone or a Roomba. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Like, I love it here so much.
Hey, did we miss anything?
I love it here. I promise.
What all did we miss? What all did we miss as far as what men want from our woman? I know
I got one.
Wants, okay.
Yeah. So, hold on. No. Dr. Easy got one. Dr. Easy got one. Antoine had enough mic time. We're about to mute him for the rest of the night.
You know, I think a sense of humor is something that we need. You know, I need to be able to I mean, you know, I'm enjoying this here. But I want to say this. I think in a conversation like this among brothers, among the wolf pack, you know, we can have this kind of a conversation. You know, we can say these things with one another, you know, in the space and not feel attacked and not feel harmed, you know, because this is, in my opinion, a safe space. And we can laugh about things that some will probably hear, you know, and be like, ooh, or you kind of pushing the bar, you know, so on and so forth. So I'll say something. I like a sense of humor because I don't always want, now don't get me wrong, I'm not going to try to intentionally say offensive things, you know, and try to harm or hurt someone's feelings. But look, like I just went to see TK Kirkland this past weekend. All right. Okay. Look at that. T to the okay. And you know what TK, thank you, home, bro. Thank you. You see, not every woman could probably take that. Like just being honest, right? But I'll be honest, I won't mind. Listen, if we're gonna enjoy some comedy together, I love it if you can handle this. All right, but don't get me wrong, I'm not going to use this language at home. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely say a sense of humor, and I think that, oh shucks, I'm sorry, man, that train just jumped off the track.
You're being a terrible communicator right now. You're
I
you're
really
hurting
am.
the narrative. You're hurting the narrative. No,
I'm you know what? Understanding. Okay. Just like what my brother just gave me. But I do think that, like that, I think, and in a way, that's what the sense of humor comes from. To me, is more understanding to, like just to get that these are the things that make me laugh. And I hope that I can share that with you. You know what I mean? And I think another thing, someone that I can like share my victories with. Someone that I can share that with, and even something that we said a while ago, right? It's not about competition. It's like, for real, boo, you you got that, so someone who can see, oh, okay, now I'm gonna try to use two different languages. So I'm not gonna be a great communicator here. I'm trying to talk out one, but it's probably come out because I want to say something I think Antoine would say, but I want to say something that I think that, like, say, my pops would say too. So it's like, I want you to acknowledge what I am doing, okay, and then acknowledge that it's something that I'm doing for myself. Okay, cool. You see, so you understand that my effort is for me. This is what I care about. This is what I care. This is what I want to do. So boom. But then at the same time, I hope that she can see, even through that I'm doing this. Hopefully, if I am doing it for us. So I don't know if that makes sense. Because it's like everything that I do, I may not need that kind of the same kind of acknowledgement. Okay, but I do think that it is an acknowledgement though. It just may be different based on what I'm doing. So anyway, if that doesn't make sense, brothers, please let me know, or you can tighten it up because everybody's a great communicator. All right.
I like the way you brought that back. You did all right.
Hey, I don't have any issue with it. Hey, we got about 12 minutes or so before we end the show, but there is nowhere in the world that we cannot end this show without final thoughts. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to this, really looking forward to however you want to sum up the show in your own words as it refers back to the topic. If you didn't see it in the private chat, no, the audience can't see it, but we're gonna start off with Mr. Forever Game tonight. So, brother, what is your final thoughts about tonight's show? And anything that you may want to add to anybody who may see this for now or in the future?
I think Dr. Thomas actually put it in the perspective when he brought it back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think he brought it back when he said he made the understanding. We all gonna go through, and we're gonna have our ups and our downs, and I think we both have to be each other's happy hour. You know what I mean? Understand that a male's happy hour is his happy hour. Like Mr. Anton was saying, when you see the red light on, it's the red light. This is me trying to get in tune with what I got going on. Um, I think once we get that out in the open in the beginning of a relationship, everything should, well, it should go well. But in my thought, I think we did cover a lot of things. Like tonight, I definitely learned something about myself just by listening to all you guys' different perspective on what a male needs from his woman. Because I'm sure some of you guys have been married longer than I have, and some of you guys are still playing the field. And what better way to hear both sides? That's all I got.
I think I feel like we covered a lot of territory tonight, and Dr. Easley, he kind of he summed it up. I think that is one of the things that we all kind of forgot. It may not be one of the most top ranked things. Somebody that's you can have fun with, or being funny, having a good sense of humor. I think that's a very very good attribute for any woman to have, because as men, we kind of wear the weight of the world on our shoulders for our family. Whatever's going on outside, we try to protect them from. So having somebody that can make you laugh is it's a part of peace, and it's a part of communication. and to me, it's a part of appreciating me, because if you know that I'm going through hell and high water outside, and I can come home and laugh and be comfortable. One of the things that we as men struggle with is being comfortable, being able to laugh when we going through some things that can bring about peace for us as well. So Dr. Easley, he hit the nail on the head. But for me, man, I appreciate y'all. And I told Vic when he did a quick segment when Takeoff was killed, and I told him the same thing. I'm gonna say now, it is a great feeling to be around men that we can actually give constructive criticism, laugh about it, make the adjustments, and continue to move forward and not stop. It's a great feeling being around you, Kings, man, and I appreciate y'all.
Final thoughts. Whew. As far as you know, women need to bring the woman that you are, and that encompasses everything that it takes of a makeup of a woman, from your femininity to your nurturing. Bring the woman that you are, your natural state, and who you should be. Um, and I would say to everybody, I'm at the stage that you are in your life. There's a difference between a girlfriend and a wife, right? Those are two separate things. Figure out which one she is. Is she someone you want to sleep with, or someone you want to wake up with, right? And you know which ones I mean. Figure that out. Um, so that being said, uh, yeah, I guess that's it for me. Yeah, I'm done. Not much to say.
All right. So, final thoughts. When it comes down to it, get somebody that'll participate in whatever it is that you want to do, and you have to be willing to give the very thing that you're requesting. Don't be incapable of requesting something that you don't even have a resource to show that you can actually do the same thing. That's where, like, you get a chance to trade work, you get a chance to trade care and understanding with each other, and you get to really see what the other person values. So what you want from your woman is the very thing that you got to be capable of providing, and with that comes along with reassurance and not just doing the act. It's the difference between duty, empathy, and it's a mix of it. So you got to take your thick skin as a man, find a way to articulate that you understand your woman and put yourself in her shoes, and also be the very thing that you want to.
Understood.
All right. For me, I think I would be looking for someone that's willing to be a partner, a true partner, somebody that's willing to laugh, cry, fall, get up, fight with me, have my back, uh, my biggest cheerleader. You know, I think I'm looking for someone that, like, as a woman, be like someone else already said, be that woman. I think Antoine said, be that woman. I need that feminine side. I don't need you out there starting ruckus. Let me start the ruckus. Let me answer the door. Let me be the one that defends us. But while at the same time, I'm your biggest cheerleader, you be my biggest cheerleader. I'm the president of the fan club and vice versa. And we'll make it happen together. Ride this thing out.
Hmm. If we're talking about the show and what men want from our women, it's going to vary man to man. So it would be best to have the conversation with him and understand that what he says is what he needs and not necessarily what he wants. And also understand that there is no gain without sacrifice. So if you are wanting a specific kind of man, you have to kind of understand what you're willing to sacrifice to get him. And him telling you what he needs might be something that you need to sacrifice to give him. I think I'm just going to end it with that.
All right. A lot of great things said tonight. I mean, and it's definitely a show that you guys can take some notes on. I want to kind of leave a thought, and the idea is value, value and valuing. So when it comes down to value, it is no one's responsibility to make me feel valued. That is my responsibility to understand first and foremost. So, with that being said, value has 3 points: value is assigned, value is realized, and value is extended. Value is assigned by the creator, value is realized once I understand what the creator had in mind when he created me. And then, as I invest in myself, I build equity. That way, I can extend value. That's the concept of my cup running over. So I keep adding to the cup and I give out what's the overflow. So, with that being said, there's just a few points I put out there, and it's just a quick acronym, right? And it spells out brute in ghetto language, right? So, BREWT. B is for balance, obviously, because I've been talking about that all night. Respect, we kind of touched on that. There's no need to dwell on it, right? Empathy. I think we need to be better with empathy. Everybody can improve in the areas of empathy, and it is a lifelong practice. Wisdom. I need her for her wisdom. She adds value to what it is I'm doing through her understanding and the wisdom that she brings to the table. And you heard it before. I'm just going to add one additional piece to it: the art of femininity. I can't explain to you what it is. I can't explain to you how to do it. I'm not even qualified to. I just know that I like it when I see it. That's it.
Click rewind, bring it back. That's it. Do I need to repeat it?
No, I think there was. I think it was. I think everybody got it. Look, there you go. It just the whole mic just dropped right there. Man, hey, look, I appreciate everybody that been on here today. Everybody in the chat, everybody who watched it home at Facebook, on YouTube. Before we roll off, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, like button, share the video, and appreciate everybody who's in the chat and everything tonight. Everybody is on the show tonight, man. We had some great thoughts tonight. We had some great conversations. I really enjoyed it. I took some notes tonight. As mentioned before, like I'm always on here trying to learn, and what better way than to learn from people with like mindedness, people who are all still trying to grow and trying to get better every day. So I just appreciate everybody for being here today. All the good things, all the love, all of that stuff. And until next week, we're going to see y'all. We are out.
Peace.
So I find the ending.